In progress right now, or shall we say OK3 from PG-13. Thunder looking good. And Kawhi Leonard is in the lineup tonight for the Toronto Raptors. They're looking to stop a 2-game losing streak on the road in Dallas.
Said that like it's news that he in the lineup. Like it don't happen very often or something. Man.
You know, second night of back-to-backs, he sits out a little bit, GA. And the bearded one, breaking records on a daily basis. Tonight, he'll get some help in the backcourt. He'll look to continue his epic January against Orlando. Chris Paul returning to the lineup for the Houston Rockets tonight. He's missed the last 17 games. The Rockets 12-5 without him because of one James Harden. Welcome to Game Time Live. Chris Miles here with our starting backcourt, Rip Hamilton, Greg Anthony. But can we get a Detroit basketball? Anytime any of you on the set, we have to start the show with that. Rockets and Magic, though, one of 4 games tipping off right now. It's only right that we start the show focused on a championship caliber backcourt and how the return of a future Hall of Famer will affect a lefty on a run like none we've ever seen. James Harden hasn't just had a really good month. He's had one for the record books. Historic 43 points, 8 assists a game, 22 straight games with over 30 points. Only Wilt Chamberlain has had a longer streak. So when you see these numbers on your screen, the first and most obvious question, Chris Paul back in the lineup, how will he affect this historic run that James Harden is on?
Well, I think he'll affect it some from the standpoint, but he'll affect it positively because if you're James Harden, one of the issues you saw in Game 7 in that conference final last year without Chris Paul is he just got fatigued down there. He just didn't have the legs because of the physicality. Chris Paul gives you another dynamic playmaker and scorer, and that's something that this group has missed. Remember, James Harden, I don't know how long that streak is, but all those points he scored without having anybody assist on him. And I don't care how great a player you are, it's comforting to have an all-NBA performer that can go out and carry some of the load. Plus, you factor in that these two guys have developed a great chemistry together after leading the league in wins seasons ago. So I can tell you, James Harden might be the happiest guy on that Rockets team outside of maybe Chris Paul that he's back.
I would have to agree with Greg. I mean, James's usage rate is off the charts right now. I mean, when he's on the floor, they go through him. It's not like when he gives up the ball, he's actually making cuts, UCLA cuts, coming off pin downs to get wide open opportunities. Every team in the league knows exactly what they're going to run, and that's going to give him the ball, put him in multiple pick and rolls, put him in an ISO situation. Now you add Chris Paul back to the mix. Now he can get a breather, especially playing off the ball, and he can get some time, on the bench. But I think Chris Paul is not going to do anything but help this ball club. It's definitely going to help him. Now you bring another leader out on the floor, another pit bull, a guy that can defend and lead the team, and now James can go pretty much in scoring mode, and it doesn't always have to be a vocal leader out on the floor.
Well, the Rockets are also a different team since Chris Paul was injured on December 20th. And by that, I mean new personnel. Just look at the new faces on this roster. Austin Rivers now in the mix in the backcourt. Kenneth Faried now in the rotation in the front court. Clint Capella out the next month as well. How will things change for these new players in the rotation as Chris Paul comes in, because their roles will change a bit?
You know what? I don't know that they will. I will say, first, give Daryl Morey a lot of credit to be able to go and get 2 quality players like Rivers and also Faried to come in. Again, not that they're going to give you the same kind of production, but, man, they take a huge load off having some veteran guys that are unafraid of the moment that can make the plays that are necessary, right? Faried can finish at the rim. He can help you control that defensive backboard, and that's going to be critical, and he gives you some frontline defense. Austin Rivers is a guy that can get electric offensively himself. I think comfortable scoring. I think his scoring is going to go up with Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Because Chris is not going to look to score as much as James, and I do think that James is looking forward to this, in part because their goal ain't to just get numbers. They feel like they still got a chance to win a world championship if they can get everybody healthy. You think about getting those 2 new guys incorporated, and then when you get Capella back, how much more depth this group could have.
Yeah, and the thing that we don't talk about with Austin Rivers is his defense. I think his defense on the defensive side of the game, he's really showed his impact on this Houston Rockets team, especially when you lose the defenders that they lost last year. So I think when they went out, they got two veteran players, guys that know how to play and can play with anybody. I think when Austin first got there, Coach D'Antonio would tell him, hey, be more aggressive on the offensive end, shoot more. And he didn't really understand that until now, and understands that, hey, you know what, D'Antonio gives his players the freedom to go out there and make plays. And Fareed has been a big-time plus just from the energy levels, putting him in pick-and-roll situations with James Harden. He's diving to the basket. He's athletic. He can finish at the rim. So both guys is a huge plus for this team.
You mentioned Kenneth Fareed, and GA, when you look at the past 2 seasons for him, he's just 29, but he only played 44 games combined in the previous 2 seasons. Why were his situations keeping him off the court when he was healthy?
Well, I think first and foremost, look at the guys that's playing in front of him. You know, they went out and got that guy Jokic. Remember, they had also drafted Nurkic. So
and had Millsap.
And Millsap and that they brought in. So in essence, he had kind of – and I think it made sense for them because when you look at the evolution of the game and how things have changed, Fareed's kind of an old school player, right? Mm-hmm. He's much more of a physical guy. You know, he's not a high skill guy. He's more of a high motor guy. And I don't know that the motor was as high as it needed to be at that point. But I think a lot of times when you see it happen in the league a lot where a guy, you fall out of favor, but you get a second chance. And I think if you're Kenneth Fareed, this is an opportunity. And I mean, he didn't just get a second team chance. This guy got to go play with 2 of the very best players in the league, a team that has championship aspirations. So that in and of itself is going to motivate him as well to play some of his best basketball. And you saw in his last outing when he went out and had that monster game.
And when you look at the Rockets completely, because Kenneth Fareed seems like a great addition to that team, as far as their chemistry is concerned, when you bring Chris Paul back into the lineup, he's a guy like James Harden, is going to assist and help other guys get baskets. How does that change their dynamic? I mean, 12-5 in their last 17.
Well, he fits. I mean, Chris Paul is probably one of the smartest players that we have in our game, and he's a great leader. He understands, okay, when he comes back, he's not going to try to overdo it. Coach D'Antonio is not going to come out and say, all right, Chris, we need you to play 40 minutes. They understand that, hey, you know what, he went out with an injury last year in the playoffs, and, hey, when you're dealing with a hamstring, you got to be very, very careful. So Chris knows, he sees that James Harden has been on fire the last, 20-something games, scoring over 30 points. So he understands who he has to get the ball to. The problem is, hey, he needs to understand that he don't got to do too much. But I think he's smart enough to know that.
Certainly Chris Paul, a cerebral player in the NBA, if there ever was one. Russell Westbrook and the OKC Thunder facing the Milwaukee Bucks. And at the end of the first half, Westbrook goes down and is limping towards the locker room. So we'll try to keep you abreast of that situation. They just went into halftime. Take another look. Looks like a collision with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Russell Westbrook went down and limped into the locker room. Highlights coming up on the other side of this break. The Kings and Clippers, they played in the matinee, and so did the Cavs and Bulls. Both teams looking to get back to some winning ways, having tough seasons. That's up next. You're watching Game Time Live.
Got a final score. With less than 10 seconds to go.
Oh, gotta box out the shooter, though.
Green with a missed free throw, and that would somewhat seal the deal for the defending champion Warriors over the Boston Celtics. They go on to win at 115-111. Stephen Curry led the way with 24 points. Klay Thompson added 21. Oh, and KD, by the way, had 33.
Quiet 33.
9 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 10 of 23 from the field. Okay, so now they've won 10 in a row. And for the other 29 teams in the NBA, that's got to feel a little bit discouraging. Let's hear what KD had to say after the game. So we've talked a lot about what Kevin Durant can do, what Stephen Curry can do, what Klay Thompson can do. But in the Warriors win over the Lakers on Monday, Klay told me after the game that he was most excited about welcoming DeMarcus Cousins into that lineup, not just because of his scoring ability, but because of his playmaking ability. He did have 15 points in this one. He's getting accustomed not just to their lineup, but to the Warriors' style of play. What are you most looking forward to about Boogie getting incorporated into this lineup?
Well, what I've seen from him, first of all, is that he looks like a new man.
Yeah.
And I think, first of all, that injury and not getting the contract offers that he thought he would get this summer, I think that woke him up. And from a maturity standpoint, I know it's early on, but he looks more mature. From a defensive standpoint, he's really competing more defensively than I've seen him compete in the past. And offensively, he's fit in seamlessly. And I never had any questions about that because I know Boogie Cousins can play offense. I know that he can set good screens, he can pick and pop, he can roll to the basket. And I understood that he could give this team an interior presence. It's the other intangible things that he's doing very well right now. He's basically rehabilitating his image, and that's going to be worth more in the offseason than anything he does on the court because people had questions about his character. I think when we get done with this, when he gets done with this stint with Golden State, they're going to look at him totally different.
And he fits well with this ball club right now because he's a big man that can pass the ball. And when you look at this team with Steph Curry, a lot of times plays off the ball, and Draymond Green plays that point forward. Now, when you take Draymond off the floor, even if you got Draymond on the floor, Boogie can run the offense too.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm more impressed about him is the way that he's running the floor.
Yeah.
He's in transition, getting wide open layups. He's willing to give his body up. If it's setting screens, getting Clay wide open shots. Now teams can't blitz. You know, Steph Curry, KD, and Clay on a perimeter. So it's a big benefit for the Golden State Warriors.
It looks like for him to be out so long, he looks like he's in great shape.
Yes.
Like when I looked at him before, he would sometimes not be running the court in Sacramento. He'd be lagging behind.
Yeah.
Now I see him sprinting, getting
energetic.
layups. It's amazing what can happen when you put people in the right situations, when you have very good coaches, when you have good teammates, they hold you accountable, you respect them, they respect you. I think DeMarcus Cousins needed this for his career.
And the respect factor is big because I played with a guy like Rasheed Wallace. And when Rasheed came to Detroit, he respected Ben Wallace so much that he wouldn't let him down. When I'm looking at Boogie Cousins, he's doing the same thing. He's looking in the mirror and says, I can't let Steph Curry down. I can't let KD down. I can't let my teammates down or I will get exposed, especially on his team. And he's doing a great job of playing well for this ball club.
Yeah, just so much. And then, like I said, offensively, that's just another bag of tricks. That's the icing on the cake. That's the icing on the cake. And when they start using him in the post a little bit more, when they feel like Achilles can handle even more action, imagine what they can do. You know, they come out of timeout, they throw the ball to Draymond in the post, and they have all that backside cutting action. Imagine when they flip it and it's Boogie in the post. Draymond's normally looking to make that pass. Boogie can make the same pass, but at the same time, if you don't double him, he can go out there and score 4 or 5 buckets in a row. So he gives the Golden State Warriors a totally unfair advantage. We knew they were the best team in the league before. Like now, it's like an all-star team taking on regular teams every night.
And it's been a big plus for them too, because them losing Zaza and JaVale McGee, veteran guys. Just veteran guys that just know how to play. And people don't understand, sometimes when you got 4 vets on the team and 1 young guy, a rook, sometimes they don't understand the concepts and know how to run the offense. Now you got a veteran guy that just knows how to play. So now you can run a secondary break and get easy shots.
But literally, they are 5 all-stars taking on every other team.
All NBA guys still.
Right.
I seen something on Instagram the other day that said, who do you think wins this matchup? It was the starting lineup for the East All-Stars versus the Golden State Warriors starting lineup. It's unfair. They have so much talent on this team, and then everybody commits to the Golden State Warriors way. They start being submissive out there. They go out there, they pass the ball. They're not worried about themselves. It's selfless basketball. It's fun to watch also.
Christian, you can't take no plays off with this team.
No. Well, and the concern was not just about Boogie's conditioning because he had been injured for as long as he had been injured. It was also because the Warriors play at such a faster pace than he had ever seen in Sacramento or in New Orleans. So for him to come back and to fit in as seamlessly as he has in the minutes he's been given is even more impressive.
Yeah, like I said, it's a testament to him.
Yeah.
He realized what he did in previous stops from a behavioral standpoint, a basketball standpoint, wouldn't work here. He's adjusted his game, and I respect him a lot for it.
He's getting challenged every day, especially in practice. When you're walking into practice and you got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, you got 2 former MVPs. Like, it's not about you no more. Like regardless if you come to play or you don't, the train still keeps moving. They won a championship before you, so he knows that he wants it as bad as they do. So he knows that he got to pretty much do what he got to do to go out there and play and win games.
Well, for those of us who are simply listening to us talk about the defending champs, but perhaps missed their win over the Boston Celtics, let's go ahead and get you guys to the highlights.
Oh, we got highlights?
Yeah,
man.
Fresh off the press.